Hello everyone and welcome back to the channel. Today I'm here to tell you a little bit more about my experience with my vocal cords. And specifically, I want to tell you a little bit more about the day of my surgery. And the reason why I want to do this and I want to tell you about that day, how it was, how I felt right before it, how I felt right after it, is because I know many of you out there are struggling to make a decision to either have vocal cord surgery or assess the situation or have any other type of surgery or you're having anxiety about having some other medical procedure. And I know when I was just about to get this surgery, I kept looking for information out there on YouTube and in the blogosphere, and I really didn't come up with much, except for maybe a couple of videos here and there and some information, but it was mostly from medical providers. And what I wanted to know from people who had experienced this type of situation before. Specifically, I was looking for people who had gone through this type of surgery, because vocal cord surgery is a very, very delicate procedure. And I'm sure you must have heard about what happened to Julie Andrews. You can Google that. But, and that's pretty much all that I had heard before. I wanted to know from real people, and I couldn't find a lot of information out there. So this is why I decided to record a series of videos to tell you what my experience was regarding vocal surgery. So I had told you in the previous video about what came before it, the many years of vocal struggles, and the final decision to go ahead and have the surgery done. And like I said before, I made this decision right before the COVID-19 pandemic hit. And my surgery had to be, not my surgery itself, but my consultation with the surgeon was postponed from sometime in March to, I want to say, sometime end of May. My actual surgery did not happen until June 22nd of 2019. So one of the things that I was really, really scared of was the anesthesia. And I know this is a very common fear for everybody. I was afraid of two things. I was afraid of, number one, what if I wake up during surgery? Or if I am not sufficiently sleeping and I feel things. I mean, remember, this is a surgery where they introduce a very thin instrument into your mouth, goes all the way down to your throat, right? Like right over here into your trachea. And they remove this tiny little thing from your vocal cord. It's very delicate. You can't move. You can't have any type of reaction. And I was afraid that I might wake up during surgery. So that was fear number one. Fear number two, I think it was even stronger, which is I'm afraid of surgery to the point that I'm afraid that I'm not going to wake up. So I had both fears. Number one, that I was going to wake up during surgery. And number two, that I wasn't going to wake up after the surgery. Weird, right? I know, but these two are, I understand, very common fears. And I can guarantee you, if you're thinking about going through surgery or any medical procedure that requires anesthesia, I've done it at this point 3 times. But this was really scary because I found out through Google that the anesthesia required was going to be very, very strong. So why? Because if they're going to go into your throat and they have to remove this vocal cord, they need to remove the gag reflex. You cannot have that gag reflex at all, because otherwise they will be damaging your vocal cords, and you don't want that. So you have to be basically unconscious during surgery. So on the day of my surgery, of course, night before, I'm pretty anxious, but I was ready. I was ready to do it. Of course, you have to fast because you're going to go, you're going to get anesthesia. So you have to fast from the night before. And I was lucky that I was scheduled early in the morning. So I had to go in. I believe I had to be there sometime at 8 o'clock in the morning. I think it was 8 o'clock or 7:30 in the morning, really early. And they called me pretty much right away. So as soon as I went in, the nurse was really, really nice. And, she took my vitals. And everybody that was going there that day, they were going to get some kind of procedure. And this surgeon, this ENT surgeon, works there for procedures. So a lot of people that were going there, they were getting some type of ENT procedure. So you're not the only one. And you kind of feel a sense of kinship the moment you arrive because you're not the only person having surgery that day. So as I said, they called me pretty much right away. And I saw my surgeon the moment I walked in. And he asked me how I was doing. I said I was nervous. But he right away put my mind at ease. He said it's going to be fine. It takes about 15 minutes. We do this all the time. You're going to be okay. You'll see. And I told him about my fear of anesthesia. So he said, well, you have one of the best here. One of the best anesthesiologists here is going to be taking care of you today. So that immediately put my mind at ease. And also the fact that I was pretty decided that I was going to do this, that I was going to have the surgery. In my mind, I had made this decision that this was the best for me. I had actually done a lot of meditation the week before, breathing exercises, and I try to look at this from a positive standpoint. Instead of thinking, worst case scenario, I try to think best case scenario, thinking about, how my life was going to change for the best after the surgery. So as the surgeon said, after a little while, the anesthesiologist, the person that basically takes care of you during the whole surgery, he came over and he talked to me and he definitely put my mind at ease. I was able to ask him all these questions. I'm not going to say that I wasn't nervous. I was very nervous by the time I walked to the OR. But I laid down on the table. I saw the anesthesiologist right there. And, as he has said before, he said, I will take care of you from beginning to end. Don't worry about it. I will take care of you. And when I walked in, laid down on the table, I looked at him and I said, please take care of me. And he said, of course. And with that, he put my oxygen mask on, told me to imagine that I was in Hawaii playing beach ball. And that's pretty much the last thing I remember. After that, I remember waking up in the recovery room. And right before that, I was dreaming that I had somehow overslept and I had missed the entire surgery. So that was my dream, that I had missed the entire surgery. And it took me a couple of minutes to realize, the nurse is saying, your surgery is over, your surgery is over. So I don't know if I was talking. I really shouldn't have been talking because you're not supposed to talk for days after the surgery. But it was basically a blink of an eye. By the time I realized I was done, by the time I realized what was happening, it was over. It was that easy. And I remember thinking to myself, and I went through years of shouldn't I? Having this polyp in my throat, not knowing what to do. And all of a sudden, it was done. So the nurses in the recovery room were excellent. They were asking me questions, but I kept saying, like this, like give me something to write with. And they're like, okay. They realized I can't talk. So they gave me something to write and I wrote. But they tried to guess as much as they could what I might be needed. One thing I remember is I needed to cough. And they were like, because you can't cough. And I was so afraid, but obviously, if they're working on your throat for that long, you're going to cough right after you're done. So I did cough, and it was just, it needed to come out. And the nurse was like, no, that needed to come out. It's okay, to put my mind at ease. So then, of course, they called my husband, and he was right there. He picked me up, and we came home, and I thought that I was going to be in pain. I don't know, that I was going to feel funny not being able to talk. But I felt fine. I felt great. I felt like I had accomplished something that day. And I came back home, and I was okay. I really didn't start feeling any pain until the next day. But it wasn't anything unbearable. If I have to say something, it was more like the pain I feel, the muscular pain, because when you're on the operating table, they have to tilt this section here because they have to get a good angle on your throat. So I feel like this whole section, that was most of the pain. So I took a Motrin, I think it was. Any painkillers, but I really did not have to take any strong painkillers. I was fine with over-the-counter, to be honest with you. And I didn't have to really take any cough suppressants. They gave me something, but I didn't have to. I kept drinking water, and that really worked. So I was fine that day, and really the pain didn't start till the next day. And maybe for a couple of days, but really it was nothing unbearable. So if this is what's keeping you back, just know people go through it. And surgery is really, by the time you realize you had surgery, it's going to feel like it's a blink of an eye to you. So please ask me any questions if you have any questions, comments. I'm gonna I'm gonna write a description down here, and just leave me any comments or questions about the surgery or anything else. I will follow up with my post-op. I have much more to tell you. So stay tuned till the next video. Bye.